Alright, hello everybody. Before I get into the actual footage of the Karazhan run and the Nightbane kill, I'm going to briefly show you my talents, a little bit about my stats. If you're not a Vengeance tank, or if you don't care about Vengeance tanks, you can probably skip this. It'll only be like 2 minutes long. Alright, so basically, these are my talents here. I have Agonizing Flames, Feast of Souls, Flame Crash. I think Flame Crash is important, especially for the speed run, because it helps the mob stick to me when you're pulling multiple packs at the same time. Soul Rending, Concentrated Sigils. This is another one that really helps. Makes your Sigil of Flame land at your feet. Helps the mob stick to you when you're pulling 3, 4, 5 packs at once. Fell Devastation, another good threat generating AoE ability. And Last Resort. This tier right here, the level 110 tier, it's important to note. So I use Last Resort during the actual Karazhan speedrun clear, but we're going to be switching it to Soul Barrier before Nightbane, and I'll explain why later in the video. But just keep that in mind. You're going to want to have a talent changing book on you. I believe they're called Tomb of Wisdom or something similar to that. You're going to want to have one on you before you pull Nightbane, because we're going to switch Last Resort to Soul Barrier. Now, if you guys look at my item level, I'm item level 882. That's about as far as you're going to get without raiding Mythic raids. I don't raid Mythics. All of this gear I've gotten is from Mythic Plus, Dungeons, a little bit of Heroic Raid gear. I got lucky with some PvP loot. 882, alright guys? But listen, that does not mean that you have to be 882 to do this. The first time that I did this, I think I was 869. You're going to see during the video that the item level helps carry me a little bit, but I want you to understand, when we complete the speed run, I'm going to have lots of time left on the timer. Lots of time left on the timer. I think we had like 5 or 6 minutes left on the timer. You can do this with an item level that's quite a bit lower than this 882, okay? When I'm going to be pulling like packs, 5 packs at a time, 4 packs at a time, you could potentially pull 2 or 3. And as long as you keep moving at a good pace, you're going to make that timer in enough time. As far as my stats are concerned here, secondary stats, I have Mastery as my primary secondary stat. It increases your Demon Spikes, which is your typical defensive cooldown. Next is Crit. And then I actually have more Haste than Versatility. It's not preferable. I'd rather have more Versatility than Haste, but it's just how my gear ended up landing. So, oh, and also I have 2 legendaries, the Rune Master's Pauldrons and the Cloak of Fell Flames. And clearly, I mean, especially the Cloak of Fell Flames, this is a good legendary to have for Vengeance Demon Hunter. You're going to notice that it'll help me during the course of the run, but like I said, you do not need this item level. You do not need these legendaries. The first time I did this, I was 869. So it's very plausible to do this with a little bit less gear than this. And now we'll go to the footage, and I'll explain how I did everything. Alright everybody, so here we are at the beginning of the speedrun. We're all inside Karazhan. We're about to open the door and start it. Now, before this gets started, we are getting everyone into voice communications. The healer is a pug, so is the hunter and the shaman, and I am dragging them into voice comms. It's important to know that everybody needs to be in voice communication for the run. I don't want to say that this is the hardest thing that you're ever going to do in the game, because that's not true and that'd be an exaggeration. But it's challenging enough that you don't want to waste time by having somebody screw something up. It's happened to me in the past. So just make sure everybody's in voice chat. We use Discord. Also, this is mostly a pug. Null and I are friends. We played together on and off for 12 years. But these other 3 people, this is the first time I've ever played the game with them. So just to know, you can do this too. You can find people through the LFG mechanic, as long as they're, you know, I'd prefer them to be 870 plus item level. With experience doing this, get them all in voice chat and you should be good to go. So with that being said, notice I use my augment rune here. Not necessary, but it gives me a little bit of extra agility strength. I have my food, I have my flask, and ready check, and in a second here we're going to get started. Keep in mind guys, also invis pots. Not required, but I will use an invis pot during this run. It makes it quite a bit easier. So I'm running up, grabbing this first Shrieking Terror, and I pull it up the steps with me. It's going to cast some kind of spell. It might be a fear or a debuff. Someone's got to kick that. Yep, Terrifying Wail. It's interrupted. Now we are at these mobs, these ghostly apparitions. They stun the tank, so you have to be prepared for that. And they will drop pennies from the sky. They do massive damage if they hit you. You need to watch your feet. I grabbed 2 packs here, and I'm about to grab the 3rd pack, which is the patrol. As you see, the patrol is coming up to me. They could be on the left side or the right side, so you need to really know which side the patrol is coming from. I round them all up. The DPS should be stunning them. As you see, I get stunned, and I have to move out of those pennies. So we're just AoEing them down, and then we're going to move on to the downstairs floor. Some people might try to rush you. They might say, oh, pull all the trash to the opera event. There's no rush, guys. You'll beat the timer easily this way. See how the healer's trying to tell me, oh, just pull everything, just pull everything? You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just trying to get a smooth clear of this speed run. I got 2 groups here right now. Like I said, see how they stun you? You need to make sure you don't get stunned inside of the ground effect, or you're going to take massive damage. So I grabbed the bottom 3 packs. I hit him with the Fell Breath there to get some threat. And I'm going to drag all these mobs down to the opera event. When you start the opera event, it's going to take some time for it to begin. I want to say probably about 1 minute. That gives you plenty of time to kill these patrons down here, these spectral patrons. So have somebody start the event. You can start it your own self if you want. But it gets the timer going because you have to wait for a minute of RP to do this, for the event to begin. Now, if you see on the right-hand side of my screen, it says Medivh's Echo ends in 550. That's how much time I have until we have to click the first crystal. So we're making pretty good time right now. There are 3 events that you could get. 3 different opera events. In this case, we get Wicket. Wicket just so happens to be the fastest event, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but it feels fastest to me. It's also ridiculously easy. If you have an event that's not Wicket, don't get discouraged, guys. It's only like maybe 20 more seconds that it takes to do Beauty and the Beast or Westfall Story. This shouldn't be hard to you. If your group's failing at this part, you're not going to be able to kill Nightbane, so just keep that in mind. These 2 don't really do much. They cast a spell that's interruptible. It's like a dreary bolt or something. It does a little bit of damage to me as a tank. Not anything to really speak of. You'll see during the encounter. Yet dreary bolt from the Elia. And Galindry casts Flashy Bolt. Like I said, neither of them do anything. You avoid the zones on the ground. You avoid those purple things on the ground. There's going to be an ability during this encounter where you'll take damage if you remain on the ground, and you can get tossed up into the air by going into those swirly purple vortexes to not take that damage. I don't even do it. I leave them for the more frail players in the group because I'm a tank. I have lots of HP. The ability doesn't really hurt me that much. You see these monkeys come up. I just pick them up. Just remember, guys, this is only one of the 3 opera events that you can get. And the other 2 are a little bit more difficult, but realistically, none of them are very difficult. Just really staying out of the ground effects. These guys are going down pretty quick. We have pretty good DPS in the group. They have a shared health pool. Just avoiding the ground effects. I'm going to try to pick up these monkeys. The monkeys don't really do much. You see I pick up 2 here, and there's one like randomly casting in the other corner. Doesn't even matter. So now I'm going to pull everything behind the stage. This is a big pull. You need to have cooldowns ready for this. Your healer needs to be prepared for this, so you should probably announce it in voice chat. Like, I'm going to pull everything behind the stage now. All this pull is lots of AoE effects going on the ground. They have a skill, I believe it's called Final Curtain. That'll do a lot of damage if it hits you. You're just avoiding all this mess on the ground. Yeah, see final curtain, dodge the attack. And coming up next is where I'm going to have everyone invis pot. I call for them to use their invis pots. As soon as we get right about here, you'll see I use it. Guys, when you're invis, it's common sense, I know, but don't use any abilities or it's going to break your invisibility. Just run through this one room. After you're on the other side, you can click off your invis pot. Those mobs down there do a lot of AoE damage, and it's not difficult, but you could wipe. So I just choose to skip that pack when I lead my groups. Next, we go into this corner. I grab a skeletal usher and this pack of spectral patrons. It's just a simple AoE down. The spectral ushers have an ability called flashlight. When they cast flashlight, you want to face away from them or else you're going to get disoriented. That's very bad. Now you guys are going to see me make a mistake here. I get a little bit too close to the soul fragment and I aggro an extra pack. It's okay. We're able to kill it. It's entirely possible to click that soul fragment right there without aggroing this group of spectral patrons. You just have to be more cautious than I am. As you guys see, I have a whole minute and 40 seconds left on the Medivh's Echo buff, so like we're way ahead of schedule for this first crystal. That's why I said earlier, if your item level is not 880, it's okay, there's some leeway there. So now I'm grabbing this usher. I think they just burn it down quickly. Remember with these ushers, flashlight, you gotta face away. You're not even seeing it because we're killing them so quickly. In this pack, you'll probably see the flashlight. I pull all 4 here. You can do them 2 at a time if you're scared, but be careful, it is a timed run. The ushers hit relatively hard. Yeah, we just killed them so quick you can't even see the flashlight. It's okay if your group doesn't kill them that fast. You just have to face away during the flashlight. Okay, I'm going to pull these padding servants as well as this little group right here in the center of the room. Now you guys will notice when I go into this next section that we're about to enter, I'm going to use my spectral sight really quickly. It's because I'm looking for a patrol. There's a patrol. I'm going to spectral sight real quick to look for it. I don't see it in the room to my left, so I know he's in one of the next 2 rooms. This patrol patrols between all of the side rooms in this hallway. So all I did right there was really quickly check, and there it is. There's the patrol. Now I just grabbed everything all together. Guys, if your gear's not 882, you don't have to grab all the stuff like I'm grabbing. That's fine. You can do it in a little bit smaller chunks. The idea is to just be pulling, you know, at least 2 packs at a time. Like in this instance, I'm pulling 4 packs at a time, but you don't have to do that. I'm going to be way ahead of schedule here. These sentries have ranged attacks, so just make sure you grab them with some kind of ability. For a vengeance, it'd be throw glaive or whatever, but you know, if you're some other kind of tank, you know your abilities better than I do. I grab these sentries, and I'm going to go in here. I just asked in the voice chat for the hunter to MD me, so you're going to see I get misdirect. Yep, and then I just grab everything. Again, I outgear the place, so I'm able to do this. You don't have to do this. If you look at my buff bar, I have 5 minutes left on the timer. 5 minutes left, guys. We're like way ahead of schedule. You do not have to pull as many as I'm pulling. Keep that in mind. So now I'm going to click this crystal here. You can double click it. Waiting for range to kill those sentries back there. You can double click it. See how I double click it? You don't have to wait for the channeling if you do it that way. It's a little trick that'll save you maybe like 5-10 seconds. It all adds up in the end. So now we have 9 seconds to go until we get to Morose. I drop down into Morose's room. It's another trick that's gonna save you time. You do not need to walk all the way through the ballroom. If you do exactly like I'm doing right here, you'll be able to drop in on Morose and save some time. Now look, the way that we're going to fight Morose is we're going to pull all 4 ads at the same time. Okay? You don't have to do that. Again, you don't have to do that. You can use the 2 Ghostbuster traps that are in Morose's room to trap 2 of the ads. and just pull Morose in 2 adds initially. You don't have to do what we're going to do because we're going to pull everything all at once. We're going to have a lot of AoE going on to kill all the mobs quickly. It's not required. A lot of things that I do in this run, you guys, not required because I outgear it as an 882 tank. But even as an under-leveled person, 870 or whatever, this route is a great route that you can use. So I'm grabbing 2 packs of guests. I'm grabbing this arcane guy here. I'm looking for the waiters. There's about 3 or 4 waiters that pass through here. So I just grabbed one of them. Through my glaive to grab more of these guests. I'm grabbing everything. Trying to be careful not to aggro that arcane warden in the corner. There's no sense to aggro him. Now what's going to happen here is I pulled way too much stuff and I come close to death. Remember, I have Last Resort as a talent here. So if I die, I will come back to life in demon form. So that's like a little safety net. That's why I'm pulling so crazy. If my Last Resort was on cooldown, I would not be pulling like this. 3 waiters and an arcane warden, you would not see me pull that at the same time. As long as we have that Last Resort on cooldown though, that's our little safety net. You can pull a little crazy. Got those last guests. Now, if I wasn't feeling so confident about the group, we would clear that side and get those traps. We would trap 2 of these mobs. You'll see I target the person that I've targeted with the skull is the girl that mana burns. She casts mana burn on the healer constantly. That's no good. You want her down. It's Baroness something. And then I'm going to put the X on Lord Robin. He throws a axe and it does a whirlwind AoE effect. So I decided that those 2 are pretty dangerous. I want them dead. I'm waiting for Brittle Bones to expire here. And it has, and I'm going to go in and pull in a second. Big cooldowns here. Big cooldowns here. Big tanking cooldowns here. Healers got to use big cooldowns. DPS have to use big cooldowns. It's just a burn, a quick burn. I can't withstand all of these adds for very long, so something has to die. As you see, the Baroness is already dead. Lord Robin is already almost dead. Guys, we have insane DPS in this group. If you're not feeling comfortable about being able to do this, there's no shame in using the trap. No shame in using the trap. We have plenty of time on the timer. You can spend an extra minute to be safe. It's really important if you decide to pull like this, if you decide to pull the boss with 4 adds. As you can see, I actually just died. My Last Resort just procced. Because this is a dangerous method. But it's a very fast, quick method. If you're not able to kill the adds quickly, there might be a lot of AoE ground effects stacking up on the stage. If that's the case, guys, you can drag everything down into that ballroom or the dining room, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of space down there. We had good DPS, so I didn't have to do that. But I've done it in the past. Moved everybody down there into that bottom floor, and there's lots of room for everyone to spread out there. Make sure you're using defensive cooldowns for coat check. Demon spikes. If you're feeling a little bit scared, Fiery Brand. This guy will be going down in a second here. A little scary with me proccing Last Resort, but that's okay. After this, we're going to be moving to the spider area. So Morose is dead. I tell somebody to grab the keys. And I'm going to click the crystal. Using that little double click saves time. So we have 9 minutes to get to the next crystal. Guys, if you had like 5 or 6 here, you'd be fine. Got to pull that Pat and those phantom guests as well. Can avoid all that stuff on the left of the room. See that Pat that's patting by? We're going to grab him. I grab him and I just drag him with me to save a couple seconds. I think the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this, if you're like 870 or 868, don't be intimidated by how much stuff that we're pulling. It's very plausible to do this. You just have to keep up a good pace. Don't have to make crazy pulls. Here I'm going to grab 3 spiders at the same time. If you're 870-ish, I'd maybe not grab 3 at the same time. The web hurts. Web shot or web spray hurts a lot. You want to have your empowered wards up. See how I put it up for that web spray? Empowered wards will help you with that magic damage. This one always comes. This one Cold Mist Widow always comes. No way to avoid it. Always make sure to face these spiders away from the group. You probably already know that, but the web spray does a lot of damage to other people in the group. Does a lot of damage to me as a tank, so it'll kill them pretty easily. Watch out for the little ground effects on the ground. The arachnids cast those. And now we're getting into the last room. This room, it's important not to aggro massive amounts of spiders. Here, you're going to have 3 no matter what. I'd advise using the little cooldown here. I'd advise telling your DPS to stun these so you don't get triple web sprayed. You got to hug hard left. Be sure not to aggro those spiders on the right hand side of the room. That arachnid is padding over. I believe I grab him here. Just remember, it's tight quarters, but you have to face these away from the team so they don't get hit by web spray. Now we're going to move up to the last ones here. And as soon as they're dead, we're going to go after that crystal. Tell everybody else to just hang back. You'll see why. I'm just run right through the web. One spider comes down. And we aggro spiders. I don't know if that was me or someone else who aggroed them, but we have a pack of 3. No need to freak out. I got my empowered wards up. Got them faced away using the little double click trick. And we have 11 minutes on the timer. Guys, if you had maybe, I'd say probably 7 minutes is acceptable on the timer at this point. So here I'm going to pull these ghosts 2, maybe 3 at a time. But as I'm pulling each ghost, I'm calling out someone's name and telling them that they have to interrupt their spells. So, you know, here I'd be like, Null, interrupt the Shrieking Terror. Somebody else, interrupt the Forlorn Spirit. Just making sure that every ghost is covered by someone. You can interrupt one yourself as a tank. But don't let them cast any of their abilities, their AoE Fear or whatnot. These guys aren't really hard, just can't let them cast. Hug left so you don't pull this extra ghost on the patio here. And we go up into the next room. I grab the next Shrieking Terror. And we grab this Forlorn Spirit. You can feasibly carry 3 at a time. I mean, even without very good gear, I don't think these guys do much. They don't hurt you very much. If people are on the ball with interrupts, it's not that big of a deal. These mobs are kind of a joke. Just drag them with you up the stairs. Melee should be pounding on them the whole time while we're running up. There's one more ghost at the top of these stairs. And then we start to get to the Curator robot trash. I always pull this guy with me into one of the robots. It's your pick. You can go left, you can go right. It doesn't really matter. But just don't pull both. There's no need to. This guy's going to drop some kind of ground effect. Again, these mobs are... I mean, I never really am nervous about pulling them. They don't do much. They die quick. We go into the next room, and there's this Robotron-looking guy. He doesn't do much either. Alright, after we kill this guy, I'm going to start pulling ads. There are 4 trash packs in the next room where the Curator is, and I pull them in sets of 2. I always pull them back into this room where we're in right here. I tell everyone in the group, hey, wait here. I'm going to pull them 2 at a time. I make sure that the Curator is away so I don't aggro him. And as you can see, I grab 2 groups, and I bring him into the back, running out of line of sight. And then from here, it's just big AoE. Big AoE. Healer's got to be on the ball because the group is going to take damage from Arcane Barrage from these two Voidwalker looking guys. You can interrupt the Arcane Barrage when their mana shield is down, but other than that, it can't be interrupted. Again, I tell everyone in the group, you know, hang tight. I know you're wanting to speed through, but we have 8 minutes left on our timer. You probably could get by with having 4 at this point. I don't know why those people followed me into the room. I told them to stay back. But I'm dragging everything back into the back room. Once we kill these last 2 mob packs here, we're going to engage the Curator. Wherever he is, I'm going to pull him. If he's in the back of the room, we're going to fight back to front. If he's in the front of the room, we're going to fight front to back. You know, there's no sense in wasting time waiting for him to be in the ideal positioning that you'd like him to be in. It doesn't matter. Just make sure he's either in the front or in the back, and we're going to grab him. So as you see here, I believe he's going to be in the back of the room. Yep, he is. And we're going to fight him back to front. So I immediately pull him. Don't give him any time to move. Now, you always want to use your Bloodlust during the Evocate. Ideally, you know, guys, it's a timed run, so you want to blow this guy up as quickly as possible. That being said, in this run, we had 7 minutes left on our timer. We decided to save Bloodlust for Nightbane. There's no shame in using your Bloodlust here and waiting for Bloodlust to cool down before you pull Nightbane. If you're pressed for time, you're going to use Bloodlust during this Evocate. If you don't have Bloodlust, you need to make sure prior to running this place that somebody has drums, leatherworking drums. It's essential for Nightbane. It's essential for the speedrun. So as you see, I'm just pulling them back. Our shaman has decided to hang out in the static field. Tried my best. I think I have poor positioning here on the boss during the Evocate. As you'll see. Yeah, I left hardly any room for the melee to get on him. That's not good. But, you know, it's just a small mistake. It's okay. And you're going to make small mistakes. It's not a problem. Just avoid big ones. The monk was able to find a little safe pocket behind him, so we got damage on him. Decent damage, but not an instant kill in one Evocate. We probably would have had it if we had the Bloodlust up. So as you guys can see, the timer just hit 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes left to complete the run. And most of your times, your first run, you'll probably only have like 30-40 seconds left. So to be able to have 5 minutes left on the run, there's plenty of room for a little bit of compromise. If at any point in this video you look back and you're like, I don't really know if my gear is good enough to make a pull like that, that's what the 5 minutes is. So when clicking this final crystal, you'll see my buff transformed into a different buff. It's something of Medivh. I don't know, that purple face you see on my buff bar. That means that we can go summon Nightbane. You have 5 minutes to go do that. So just watch the way we run. We run back down into the terrace, and someone in the group summons Nightbane. You see the healer in the group in the chat just said more than 5. We had more than 5 minutes left on our timer. It's very good time, very good speed. It's not pro, but you know, it's very good for a pug group. Alright guys, so look, so while we're waiting through this RP here, I'm going to kind of explain Nightbane a little bit to you. As a tank, Nightbane is very demanding on tanks. He's also very demanding on healers. You're going to find that if you have this fight down and you're correctly countering his abilities, notice here I switched from Last Resort to Soul Barrier. If you have this fight down and you're correctly countering his abilities, it's going to be a healer that wipes you every time. I don't know why it is. That's just the way it is. I've done this Nightbane speedrun with probably like 8 healers by now, it's always going to be the healer that holds you back for some reason. It's a very healing intensive encounter. But you need to do the best you can to alleviate that pressure on him. So you need to be countering his abilities, and there's quite a few of them. Guys, as a tank, you have quite a bit of responsibility here. So look, right off the bat, the first ability that Nightbane has, it's called Reverberating Shadows. Reverberating Shadows, it's a cast. He's going to cast it. It's interruptible. You need to be interrupting it because it's going to do damage to the entire group if it's not interrupted. If you're a little bit nervous about this fight, you can assign DPS to be the interrupters. Personally, I like to be an interrupter because when I interrupt the cast, it gives me pain, my tanking resource. Interrupting a cast gives me tanking resource. I like to be involved in the interrupt rotation for Reverberating Shadows. Next, Cinder Breath. It's a frontal cone. He's going to cast it on you. You need to be using your Empower wards, or if you're not a Vengeance tank, you need to be using some kind of magic damage reducing ability during the Cinder Breath. Just makes it easier on your healer. The Soul Barrier. The reason why I switched from Last Resort to Soul Barrier is because there's going to be an ability that he's going to use that damages the entire group. You need to use Soul Barrier while he's doing that ability, because it's called Ignite Soul, by the way. Before he casts Ignite Soul, you need to use Soul Barrier. It's going to reduce the damage you take. Okay? Last but not least, Nightbane has an Enrage. It's a purple-looking debuff that you're going to see on his debuff bar. You need to be using a tanking cooldown doing that because he hits like a truck during this Enrage. Alright? In Phase 2, a Bone guy is going to come down. You need to be burning him down. The group needs to get him down quickly before he reaches 5 stacks. He puts a stacking debuff on the group. You want to get it down before 5 stacks. And in Phase 3, he also fears you. You're going to want to have a tanking cooldown up for the fear as well. So look, guys, there's a lot going on with this fight. I think I'm going to cut out my audio now and just let you watch what I do. Keep an eye on how I position him so that he doesn't breathe on the group and so he doesn't tail swipe the group. If you do what I did in this video, you'll be fine, guys. So thanks for listening, and I'm going to pass the audio over now to my group.
Just make sure you're either on the left edge or the right edge. Don't drop it in the middle.
Alright, guys, I'm going to pull in 3, 2, 1, go. You have first kick, Josh, or me?
You have first kick.
Okay. I kick.
I got Ignite Soul. I can't get this.
Okay, somebody can interrupt this next one, please.
I got it.
Are you back on the normal rotation?
Yep, I got the next one. Got it. He's enraged. He's going to do a little bit of damage to me.
Frog has the debuff. I got that kick. You got next kick, Cena?
Got it. There's a lot of skeletons out there, if you can get them to me. Usually we don't dispel the debuff, so...
It's alright, just push him, push him, push him.
As soon as he goes up in the air, I'll grab all these skeletons. Alright, burn this Bone Curse guy. Especially during Phase 3, can we try to limit the amount of skeletons that we get from dispelling? It's difficult for me to pick them up without making Nightbane move. Big damage on Bone Curse. We're at 4 stacks. We're about to be at 5. No more than 5, guys. He's got to go down. 5 stacks.
Close.
Burn him, burn him. Cannot get 6 stacks of this. We got 6. It's going to be a lot of healing needed. Alright, I'm moving him over. Same flame progression.
These things will get cleaved right here.
Yep,
You got first kick though.
sure. He's enraged. I have cooldown up. Fear, fear.
Break that with my stupid trinket.
I kick.
Oop.
Our healer's dead.
I got that.
I also interrupted it. I'm freaked out because the healer's
I got
dead.
next.
Frog's got thing. Nobody got that one.
Doing my best to live here, guys. I got cooldowns up. Feared.
Kill him.
I'm not going to move him. Just sit in a safe pocket.
Gem.
Nice.
Grats on him now.
Yeah, grats. I just bonus coined a 875 relic.
Oh, sorry. I'll res the priest.
So look, guys, there you have it. It's not too difficult to do. I'm sure that there's a couple of small things that I might have neglected to mention, but if you just watch the footage and if you follow everything that I do and try to listen to the steps, a little bit of advice that I gave you, you guys are going to do fine. You'll get this baller mount just like me, and you'll be very pleased with your grand adventures in World of Warcraft. If you liked this video, which hopefully you did because it was amazing, please be sure to like and subscribe, and hope to have some new videos out for you guys soon. Take care.